So this is a core Java training session, right? So we'll start with the basics of core Java. So let's talk about some of the very basic things about this language first. That this language came in the year 1995 and it was introduced by a firm called Sun Microsystems. But in 2011 this language is basically taken over by Oracle Corporation, and all updates of Java are now on oracle.com, that website, meaning JDK JRE are available on Oracle website. They are given to us by Oracle itself. After that, we should also know that Java is a platform independent language. When we say platform independent, basically we mean that Java based application can run on any operating system, right? No matter it is Windows, Mac, Ubuntu, Java based application or websites can run on any operating system. So we should know about the platform independent nature of this Java language and who owns the Java language now. After knowing that, we should be very clear about the differences between JDK, JRE and JVM, right? Which one should be used or which one is used when, and basically in which very scenario. So JDK stands for Java Development Kit, JRE stands for Java Runtime Environment, and JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. Now, if I start from the very bottom, all my Java code is actually converted into bytecode or machine language which operating system understands, right? That is converted for us by JVM, Java Virtual Machine. Now Java Virtual Machine comes automatically with JRE, and JRE comes with the JDK also. See, you can download JDK or JRE, right? But this JVM comes with the JRE itself, with the help of which your Java code actually runs on the operating system. When I say my Java code is running on the operating system, on my phone or my laptop, on my desktop, it is running because of JVM only.
Okay.
But when we say I'm a simple, I'm a user, I'm a Java application user, who has nothing to do with development, I just need a JRE on my machine, because JRE is only required to execute the Java language, Java applications on the operating system. Basically, it has all packages which are being used to design Java code, For example, Java util package for all collection classes, Java IO package, NIO package is there, lang is there. Basically, all the packages comes as part of Java runtime environment. So if I am a user and I have nothing to do with development, I have nothing to do with testing, I'm not in a programming field, I just need a JRE on my machine. Apart from packages, JRE also gives me runtime libraries. Those are required by operating system only. Or if we have exported the library from via Maven or from some other tool, right? I'll show you in my system the JRE, and when I say JDK, I automatically get JRE with it. And when I say I automatically get JRE, basically I am getting JVM also with it. So if I am a programmer, if I am into this development field, first of all, I get all packages, I get all runtime libraries, and with that I get all the development and debugging tools also, which is required for the programming. So that clear difference should be there, JDK is a full feature software development kit, a Java development kit, right? That has JRE, it has development or debugging tools. You can say basically that means it has a compiler to check my code, to check the syntax of my code. And ultimately the same thing helps me create and compile, programs or Java or web application. Right? So we should know when we have got JDK, we have automatically got JRE, and once we have got JRE, we automatically get JVM. Right? If I check my local system, right? If let's say I'm on Windows, so if I check my C drive, here in program files I have got a Java folder, and under Java folder I have JRE 1.8 and JDK 1.8. So JRE has this binaries and libraries. If I check the JDK, I have got a JRE folder, and JRE has the same, whatever we saw in JRE, it's there as part of JDK also. Binaries, DLLs and libraries, any additional library that is required by the required by the Java programmers for the Java based coding, right? So this difference should be clear to everyone, once we are into Java programming, that our Java code actually runs because of JVM. But how will the operating system know what kind of packages are being used, or whether the entire archive file is already compiled properly or not? That happens with the help of JDK basically. And we have seen that we have a bin folder, we have lib folder, libraries. Bin comes with the binaries. For example, Java W program to run the JVM on the operating system, that is a binary. And libraries, any additional library, configuration file, properties file, fonts, sounds, icons, those come as part of libraries only, right? So when you see your .java file is compiled to .class file, that is done by JVM only. Now we should, you must have got JDK or JRE on your laptop, but if you haven't got, you can download the JDK, for from the Oracle website, standard edition 1. You just need to accept the license, an exe or a DMG, right? We can easily download that.
Yeah.
Right, so it is all available on the Oracle website. Right now I'm just checking the docs. These are documents. If I would have given, yeah.
I have a question. Can I ask now?
Yeah.
So Oracle JDK JRE is, I was told from our IT team, it's a licensed one. So I was downloading OpenJDK, which is a free software, right? It's it's still okay, right? We can download from OpenJDK.
Yeah, you can still download from that. You can use OpenJDK also. All libraries, all packages, all class file that we are going to use, they are available as part of OpenJDK also. Right. They keep changing the layout for their, pages. You see this kind of, web page will come to download the JDK 64-bit, 32-bit. Similarly, you have got the same for runtime environment also. And JVM comes automatically with the same. And if you want open JDK, JDK can also be used. Now coming back to this IDE thing, this Eclipse, or if you have IntelliJ IDEA, you can use that also. Whichever you are using, you can use that. I will help you configure the JDK or JRE as part of the same. Right? But what is Eclipse? Let's say, what is this IDE? Right? IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. And Eclipse is a very popular open source IDE. Right? Eclipse is a open source free IDE, and Eclipse is also written in Java language. And it supports the Java projects, it helps us work on the Java projects. Very popular IDE. Even if you want to write JavaScript or any other programming language, now Eclipse supports that. And IntelliJ Community Edition is also free. We can use that also. But if you don't have the latest version of Eclipse, it looks like this. It has a basic workspace. We can create any Java project. This is a package explorer or a navigator. We can check the views for the same. I can create any Java project, Let's say I create a Java project with a name. Right? And it takes this JDK 1.16. Right? If you have 1.8 also, that is perfectly fine. Or 1.16, the latest version also you can take. Basically, it gave us a basic project for us, SRC folder. For Java, to understand Java based concepts, this basic project is okay for us. And I was saying that if you need IDE, you can simply type for Windows, for Mac. They are available for all operating systems. They first identify the operating system by themselves, and they help us download the exe or a DMG accordingly. So they identify the same. Right? So once JDK or JRE is configured, they are downloaded, and once we know the difference, and once Eclipse is there, or once you are using this IntelliJ IDEA, you have created this basic project. And before I start creating programs, we should also be aware about this term called data type in Java language. Right? Type of a data which is available in Java language. Now there are two types of data types in Java language. One is primitive, another one is reference. Primitive are the most basic ones which comes as part of Java language itself. There are 8 primitive data types: byte, short, int, long, float, double, char and boolean. These are 8 primitive data types as part of Java language. Now they say they are the building blocks, or they serve the building blocks of data manipulation in Java language. If I need anything to manipulate data, we will be dealing with data. So if I need to manipulate data, these 8 primitive data types will help us do the same. Right? Before I jump to them, there is a term called variable also. So variable is when you basically reserve a particular memory location to store the value. That is when you use a variable to keep a memory address, to store any data. Basically, when new keyword comes into picture, it becomes a variable. You can start calling that as a variable. Now, how memory allocation is given, that operating system decides. But how do they decide? For example, if your data ranges between -128 to 127, so minus 2 raised to the power, 7 to 2 raised to the power 7 minus 1. If your data ranges between that, you can use a byte, we can use this byte data type. It depends on this. Similarly, if my data ranges between -2 raised to the power 15 to 2 raised to the power 15 minus 1, that comes somewhere around 32,000, if I'm not wrong, 767. If that minus 32,767 to 32,768, then we use short. Similarly, if my data ranges between -2 raised to the power 31 to 2 raised to the power 31 minus 1, integer. Similarly, 2 raised to the power 63 to 2 raised to the power 63 minus 1, long. Right? So based on the type of, the amount of data we have, we use the data type intelligently. Float is when we are dealing with, precision like data, currency code. I mean stock prices where decimals are involved. By default 0.0f, or if I am dealing with, let's say, something like this. But default is this, and default for byte short integer is 0. If you don't give a value, default is 0 for them. Right? Double is also for decimal values. Default value for double is 0.0d. That is for double. Right? Boolean represents one bit of an information, true, false, when you want to check conditions basically. And by default the value is false. Right? You can compare, or you can choose the Boolean, a conditional expression as part of if statement, while statement, for statement, right? We can use Boolean for the same. And then character, simple A to simple Z, single quote. In Java there is a difference between single quote and double quote. So double quotes we'll separately use for some other API called string, which we'll talk about. There are these special characters, small a to small z, capital A to capital Z, and characters are identified by this hexadecimal operating system identification. This is small a. Similarly, you have the maximum value, which is like this. Right? So these are 8 primitive data types that comes as part of a Java language, with the help of which we manipulate the data as part of any Java code. And then we have reference data type, which we create with the help of a constructor of a class. When you create the object, or this reference data types or reference variables are created to access the objects which we create using the constructor of a class. Right? For example, here in the src folder, first I can create a package. Now what is a package? For example, if I say com.programming.module1, let's say this is the package, and under this package I create any class called employee, person, customer, let's say I create an employee class, right? So here I can introduce one primitive type data, for example this emp id, or I can create one reference variable via which I can create that reference variable will help me access the object of this employee class. But I just used two terms. First I used a package. For example, this is a reference variable. Right, this is a reference variable. And on the right hand side you have a constructor which we'll talk about. Right now I have not initialized it. So default is 0. If I try to print this emp id using this object, I will get 0 right now, because I have not set this data via constructor or via getter setter function. I'm just trying to understand the difference between primitive type data and this reference variable. By default it gave me 0. But what is this package? See, this package is a namespace via which we organize classes or interfaces or HTML files or JavaScript file or images. Like you have a different folders on your computer. Similarly, in your project you have different folders. But it's the way to organize them, because in your project you will be having hundreds of classes. If you don't organize them, it will be difficult for everyone to understand what kind of a coding structure it is being written down, So package is a first line in the Java code to make sure that every class or an interface goes into the right folder structure, right namespace. Then you have this class which is created for this, class is basically created to show how different objects will define their properties and will define their behaviors. For example, right now I have an employee ID. I can have an employee age also. I can have an employee designation also. And I can have an employee salary. Now I have 4 attributes which this object will be interested in, to exhibit its properties and the behavior. For example, now I am creating their getter setters also. So if I go to source, if I say generate getter setters, if I select all 4 fields, their getter setters will get created after employee salary field. And now once getters and setters are there, it will become little easy for me to set and get the data. For example, object is there, I can set the ID now, let's say 123. Similarly, I can set the age now, let's say 32. Similarly I can set the designation now, let's say software engineer. And in the end, I can set the salary, let's say 5,000 USD or 4,000 USD, like this. Once the data is set, I did not use the constructor for the same. Similar to that, I can retrieve everything, but not via the field. I can use their getter functions. I can use their get designation. I can use their age like this, and the left part is ID. For my better understanding, I can make it like the employee ID is. Similarly, I could have said that the employee age is. Similarly, I could have said that the employee designation is. Oh, ID I have repeated. I could have written down that the salary is Now when I run this, whatever I have said, I will be able to retrieve that. So basic point is that, that I created a class for this object to exhibit or to show the power of these properties and the behavior, via these function, via this getter setter function. Right? I can include any functionality, whatever I want to be done. Right? So this is how a basic class. Public is a access modifier, class is a keyword, package is a way to organize these classes. It's a namespace. Primitive data type, string is a immutable class. Right? Return is a keyword. Right? Via which we return the values. Main function. JVM directly comes to execute your Java code or to convert your Java code into bytecode, and it directly hits the main function. Right? So these are few basic facts about, first few basic facts about Java language. We learned the Java part actually came in, it started over the Java is basically, the language was first, after Sun Microsystem, Oracle started taking over this language. Right? And we learned that Java is a platform independent language. It does not matter which operating system the Java code is working on. And we clearly understood the difference between JDK, JRE and JVM, so that we download or use the executable wherever we require it. IDE, these primitive type, these reference variable, the default value of every reference variable is null. For example, we created a reference variable for employee class to access the object of an employee class. This default is null. Right? I have set the properties and I have done that via getter setter functions. Getter setter functions are also known as accessors and mutators. Setters is known as a mutator for some reason, which we'll talk in module 9. So this is module 1, the basics about Java language. And once that is clear, then we can jump on to the control flow statements. If statement, while, switch case, if else, for, advanced for, break keyword, continue keyword, and we'll see which kind of a for loop should be used. Right? So now, Raku, you need to tell me, shall I start with module 2 right away, or shall we start with module 2, and module 3 in the next class? How do you want it to do, proceed? You want to first set up your environment and then you would like me to rush through the concepts, or you want?
Yeah, okay. I think this was a good start actually. Yeah. So just to let you know, my background is I know a little automation testing. I did some Selenium. I bought courses from your website only. So I just wanted to brush up some skills on Java because I wanted to go through some interviews. If they ask some coding interview questions, Yeah. So I'm basically from a testing background. I know a little bit of automation. I'm not a developer, Java developer, but that's the background of.
Okay, so in your free time, just access the batch recording part also. On the left hand side of your menu, there are batch recordings also available. Right? And in case you find you have any question with any Java code, with any keyword, with any statement, I am available on WhatsApp also. You can send me that statement, that question on WhatsApp also, or anytime you can use the forum also, and I'll help you with the same.
Yeah, I had one question. You said string is immutable, right?
Right.
So I think I remember I read something about immutable. Can you explain what's that actually?
So immutable means once which is created, it can't be altered. Once it is created, it can't be modified. That is what immutable means. That is the definition of immutability. But we can give many examples to, let's say if we are being asked in the interview, then we can let's say string is actually an API class file, right? So I can create a string class object. Let's say this is a string class object, and here I gave a data, let's say ABC, or let's say for my understanding I said string is a immutable class. Now if I print str, it will give me string is a immutable class. I have not done anything right now, so it will print me the same line that string is a immutable class. But if I call concat function, or if I let's say call the concat function, and in the end if I try to add xyz to it, so you think concatenation will put xyz in the end? It will not happen. It will again give me the same output, string is a immutable class, because the object once created, it can't be altered, right? We will talk about this concept in detail in module 9, or if you want to go through this concept on the batch recording section also, go to the class 9, and this entire string buffer, string builder, all these concepts will be explained. We are explained in depth over there also.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. And one more question I had is, so in a single package, I think the main you call the main void public void main, right? You can't have more than one, right, in a same Java project or the package, or you can have more than one main.
So that is method overloading. This is public static void main with string array argument. You can have public static void main, but not with string array argument. So this is method overloading, and here I have just one argument, let's say, and it is all possible. I can have one more public static void main without any argument. That is also very much possible. But my Java says, that JVM will always come and hit this one with string array argument. So even if I have got these two in the same code and there is no compilation error, even though it will only execute this one, for my understanding I am writing down that this is a string array argument. When I run this, the first main block will run, the other two will not run.
Okay.
So method overloading can happen, but we are only concerned about the string array argument.
Okay, got it.
Right. So let's connect in the next class,
Okay, sure. Yeah, I have Eclipse. So yeah, I can go through some download the code also.
Right.
And
just start practicing by making small Java code. And in case wherever you are stuck, you could not able to understand anything, contact me on WhatsApp or post on the forum. Or this is the address. This is you can anytime mail us also. Here you can mail us.
Okay.
Right, Raghu. It's info@javaspringhibernate.com. Right, you can mail here also.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you. So our next session will be when now? And what date?
Coming Saturday. You want a weekend class only, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Raghu. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Yogesh.
Yeah.